Yes, sir. So you can start the lecture. Maybe you start with your introduction and then we can move forward.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Vijay Pratap Singh Aditya. I'm CEO and co-founder of ekgaon Technologies. Plus, I work with some other institutions, mostly in the area of working in rural services, services that are aimed at rural India. And and another area of my interest has been the Indian culture and arts, and that is something that also I'm working on, having traveled across the country. So for past 20 years, I've been working in rural India with a focus on working with an aim to bring about a change which also helps in sustaining the livelihood of the people. How the existing livelihoods that the people have, they can be sustained over a period of time. What kind of innovations, interventions, and support services can be enabled to them. So that has been kind of 20 years of my work in this area. Like most of you, I'm also an engineer. I did my engineering in electrical. Post that, I did my management in forest management from Indian Institute of Forest Management. And since that, I did work on a World Bank project at Indian Institute of Ahmedabad. And after that, the journey has been on entrepreneurship, which is what you are, what I will be sharing with you today. So let me begin with a little bit of clarifications or kind of helping you understand what social entrepreneurship means, because my call today is that this decade, starting 2020 and going forward for another 10 to 15 years, is both a decade of social entrepreneurship in the country and also a decade of agriculture in India. And why I'm saying it in the context of situation as in today, and the challenges as a country that India faces, not just today and going forward for next 30, 40 years. The development pathway that we can see for that, going forward that time. So if I try to understand try to explain what is happening around you. So let's kind of try to understand who are the actors when it comes to the country as a whole. Who are the actors who work in a nation ecosystem? Of course, there's the government. The government is a large player. Government's role is to facilitate social development, economic development, ensure law and order maintenance, protect our borders, and create friendly relationship with the neighboring countries. That's the primary role of the government. At the same time, ensuring that citizens of the country have better opportunities, both in terms of livelihood, in terms of freedom, in terms of opportunities, in terms of equality, equity, and rights. So this is what the role of the government is. Now, to do this role, government has to work with multiple actors. Who are those actors? Of course, economic development is important area. Government can and always has been a big partner in that activity. They themselves get involved in the economy. They not just prepare the laws that they govern the economy, but they also are an actor. So we have something what we call as the public sector units, which are largely owned by the government and run by the government for service of the people. Now, second area is the private sector. The private sector is the companies, the corporates, the public sector companies, private limited companies, and several proprietorship companies which are there, which essentially channel the resources of the country to create both employment opportunities as well as create goods and services that are needed by the economy and create wealth. in the process. So this is the role of the private sector per se. Then there's another sector which plays a very important role, which is largely not recognized for its role much better, is the social development sector, which is what we call as non-profit organization, NGOs. Now this term NGOs is understood loosely by people because it's not been properly understood. But largely it means organizations which are working on social issues, which is education, health, gender equality, rights, uh, uh, and environment, and similarly other many topics that are there. So where government machinery is not proactively reaching, social development organizations play a very important role. And then there are tertiary actors like media, then there's law, legal system, which is there. These are other tertiary pillars of a democracy. But I would like to concentrate my talk today on the social development sector. Why social development sector? I'm talking because India is a very complex country. It's a large country. It's a continent-sized country. It's not just another country in the globe. It is a continent-sized country. It has a population of 1.33 billion people. Just to give a comparison to you, that India is 1.33 billion people with 28 states and few union territories. Compare it with Africa, which is 1.2 billion people, and it has 52 countries within that. So if you just look at the two, we are a very large country. So when we are a large country, it must also have a lot of diversity of people, languages, cultures, ecosystems, natural resources, and everything. All kinds of diversity is there. At the same time, there's also socioeconomic diversity, which means that we have people of different economic and social status. Social status in India prominently are understood in the way of caste and religion and tribal and non-tribal. These denote social status. Economic status within that is rich and poor, working class or property-owned class, and so on. So why I'm giving this definition for you to understand that there is also an emergent sector within the social development sector, which is the social entrepreneurship sector. What is the difference between an entrepreneurship or business, regular business, and a social entrepreneurship? So some people define it as that social entrepreneurship means impact, that a business which creates impact on the lives of the people. But so does a mobile phone company. It's not a social enterprise. So say Airtel is not a social enterprise, but it does have a lot of impact on the lives of the people, right? So what is the difference between a social enterprise and another regular organization? So there is no consistent definition. Definition is being left to the people who run the enterprise. So I prefer that if what ekgaon is done is social enterprise, but believe me when I say that 18 years back, when we set up the company ekgaon as a for-profit company, we were the only one of its kind company in India, in fact in the world, which worked on a for-profit model, but its constituency or the kind of work it was doing was largely considered to be done by non-profits. So we were a very strange organization that worked in a non-profit space, but on a for-profit model. And our reason for that was a very simple one, which is that we want to work in geographies where we can make impact, because our idea was that we want to impact lives of many people, large number of people. That was our intention and impact. And for that, we believe that the only way that is possible is that we have a sustainable business model. When I say sustainable business model, is that I don't need to depend upon money from somebody else to be given to me to do what I'm doing. I want to generate my own resources through the work that I'm doing. So social entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is that whatever work you are doing, you generate enough money from that to run your own requirement as an organization and the staff of the organization, plus deploy that capital for delivering the services, goods and services that you intend to deliver. So today in India alone, social entrepreneurship has a wide range of organizations working. There are hospitals which are run on social entrepreneurship model, which are low cost. That doesn't mean that the quality of the services are low cost. No, that is not so. For like example, Aravinda Eye Hospital in Madurai, Tamil Nadu, is one such hospital. They are a social enterprise. Then Narayana Hospital, group of hospital in Bangalore, they are again a social enterprise. They run a for-profit business, but at much lower cost than a regular for-profit business. So why what we do what we do is simply because we are passionate about it. We do it because we believe that there's a need for somebody to do it. And lastly, which is the most important thing, there's a necessity to do it. Why the necessity? Because largely our governments over successive years have failed to deliver those services, those goods and services and opportunities to the population of this country that are desired. And why I'm saying so, even before COVID and Corona problems that we had, India was home to world's largest poor population in the world. It is home to the largest malnourished people in the world. We are number one in it. It is also home to the largest number of malnourished children in the world. Our mortality rate is the highest in the world. Infant mortality rate is the highest in the world. We have the largest amount of population in under poorly educated. Our sanitation services, which has improved somewhat in this previous government term by the sanitation scheme that they launched. Our drinking water issues are phenomenal. We just cover 10 to 15% of our population. So if you look into the paradigm, then our government and our businesses have not been able to reach out to a large population in this country. Government says that we want to move a lot of farmers out of farming and into cities because the farming cannot support such a large population. About 70% of India's population is supported by the agriculture sector as of now. Now, in this situation, government believes that it can move a lot of people from agriculture to urban areas, working in factories and various other vocation in real estate sector and others. But largely, if the record of the government is to be seen in last 20 years, it has largely failed. Our unemployment rates have been very high, upward of 5 to 8%. And right now, our employment rate is upward of 29%, 29 to 30% of our population. And when I'm saying that, please do understand and appreciate that India has the largest number of young population in the world. 75% of our country is below the age of 40. And we don't have jobs. And post-corona, the job situation is much more dangerous, very, very dangerous as of now when we look at it. We can immediately see that according to Center for Monitoring of Indian Economy, about 20 million, more than 2 crore people have lost. These are salaried people. So our salaried people is about 3.5. Around 3.5 to 4.1 crore people, 50% of them have lost their jobs. This is the biggest job loss in the history of the country. Never before such a situation has emerged. Plus the wage employment, the people who work on wages in factories and small businesses. Please understand that 95% of all employment in India is not given by the big corporates. It is given by the small and medium enterprises, what we call as MSME. That sector alone has lost around 80 million people's job, which is a huge number. And most of these people, if you have observed television for past few months, you might have seen that around 80 million people migrated from cities to villages because they had no jobs in the cities. Cities were becoming very unsafe to stay, and they were virtually driven to hunger and poverty while living in the cities. So they left the cities, went to their homes and villages where they belong, and when they went back, something very, very fabulous happened, is that they decided that we'll go back to agriculture. And then as a result, in just few months, you see that 20%, roughly about 20% increase in Kharif crop cultivation area of Kharif crop, that includes multiple crops, have increased by 20% across the country. This is a massive increase, one-time increase in cropping area in India. This has never increased. In fact, our cropping area has been year on year getting decreased because large number of farmers have been leaving agriculture because agriculture was not productive. But if you see the economy numbers recently shared by the government of India, it shows that agriculture today, as on today, is the only sector which is in positive growth. Manufacturing is minus 50%. Other services sector is minus 30%, 10%. Everything is minus except agriculture, which is at 3.2%. Now, if you see these scenarios and situation, every single rating agency which is there, global rating agency, projects that India's, in fact, our Reserve Bank of India governor yesterday in his press conference presented the quarterly report of our economy, and said that India will be in negative growth this year. There is a chance that there could be a positive growth later next year. In the last quarter, there's a chance that it can become a positive growth. But largely, all international agencies are saying that India is going to be in negative growth for at least 2 years, which is 2021 till 2021. Maybe there might be recovery in 2022, which I'm saying negative means minus of GDP, not plus of GDP. Let's not even talk about 5%, 8%, and 10% of GDP, which is again a very different kind of scenario we're talking about. That again, most expert in that, Pratap Bhanu Mehta or Rathan Roy, all of them are projecting that Indian economy will be in a slow burn pace for at least next decade, 10 years. And it is largely as an impact of poorly implemented lockdown measures, which impacted economy adversely. And post that, not enough measures were taken to revive the economy like many other countries in the world have done, like Europe, America, Japan, China. All their economies are doing much better. But our government didn't take proper measures, and we are in a very, very bad shape right now. Now, when I say the bad shape, I also am cognizant of the fact that this is not a new situation. India has been facing problems earlier also. We have a very small government sector. When I say very small government sector, people don't understand it properly, but it essentially means that the government spending in the Indian economy proportion to the share of the economy is small. And including in coming years, it has actually going down, much down. If I remember my numbers correctly, then the share of government in Indian economy has gone down by 12%, which is a massive drop in government spending spending of government in the economy. Whereas in most countries, spending post-corona has actually increased many times. Not in India, because the government has not increased that spend that money. So when we say where the money is spent, largely government spend the money in health, in education, in infrastructure, in providing various services that make different services and systems affordable to the people. That is an area where government spend, but government has actually reduced its spending by 12%, which is a massive drop in last 30 to 40 years. In fact, so for the first time since 1979, India is officially in recession right now, and will be in recession for a long time. In fact, India has never been in recession except for a very brief period in 1979 when Janata Party government was there. And after that, in 75 years of Indian history, first time we are in these many negative numbers. So it's a very bad situation that are there. Now, in that bad situation, what I see is an opportunity. what I see as an opportunity from a time that you have such a big country that I was talking to you earlier. We have such a huge everything that you look into gives an opportunity for entrepreneurship to take shape and to find space. You talk about, I'll come to agriculture last, but you talk about health. You need so many health interventions to be done across our health infrastructure is some of the poorest in the world. Uh, do we not have, can't we get more entrepreneurs in the area of health? In the area of water and sanitation services, we need more entrepreneurs in that. We don't actually have many entrepreneurs which can work in the area of water and sanitation. We need more entrepreneurs in citizen services in cities. Our urban planning, which is largely done by the municipal corporation and the governments in different places, does require a lot of entrepreneurs who can work with government agencies to deliver various kinds of services, which is now slowly happening. One of those services is the security services. You might have seen those security guards which are there. So India again has the world's largest number of private sector security guards in the world. We are number one in the world, which essentially means that our law enforcement is privately funded. It means your mother and father are funding the security, largely the security of people in this country, not police, not the army. They are a very small portion of this of the security apparatus that India has. We have the largest funded private sector security guards in the world. Similarly, you look into transportation systems. Our transportation systems largely are not up to date. Things are improving, but they are not improved as much as required. You try to go by a bus or a train or even a flight. Yes, there's an increase in the flight services, but largely the one which is used by the common people, that transportation system still lacks. There's a bit of organization happening through private entrepreneurship in that space in the form of Ola, Uber. Those people have come and looked into the taxi services. Similarly, there's the need to work in the bus services and other areas where organization of transit and transport systems are required. There are similarly other areas also in services, in product generation of power, in generation of aggregation of many type of aggregators are required in the farming sector, in the transport sector, in the logistics sectors. We have one of the poorest logistics network in the country, which also affects agriculture largely. Our warehousing system is not up to date for the country. Like we are a major economy in the world, but our warehousing system or our supply chain system is one of the weakest in the world. So that is another area of an entrepreneurship. In fact, few companies in last 4 to 5 years have come in that space. One of them is called Revigo, which is a startup based in Bangalore, and they have almost touched $1 billion valuation right now. They run about 4,000 trucks across the country for organizing the logistics, but they are just a very small portion of the market. We need hundreds and thousands of Revivo kind of startup entrepreneurs to enable the supply chain much more efficiently, because with that there's also supply chain losses. Our wastage in food and agriculture supply chain is among the highest in the world. Again, you might have come across those numbers and everywhere else. So why I'm telling you all of these is that I'm telling you these are opportunities to work in, and these are areas where mostly social entrepreneurs work. Education is another area where large number of social entrepreneurs are working across the country. Disaster relief and rehabilitation. India is one of the few countries in the world which is prone to the largest number of disaster incidences in the world. The place where you are, Assam, is one of the most disaster-prone region of the country. Bihar, Assam, these days Mumbai and even Kerala and Tamil Nadu, other hills of Uttaranchal. We have a lot of disaster-prone regions in the country, and there are a lot of agencies which are required to work in this area. We don't actually have many agencies working. Woonj is one of the agencies which work it's a non-profit. It's not a for-profit. It's a non-profit, but one of the largest private disaster relief agency in the country. So these are a few examples that I'm giving and quoting to you for you to understand what is the kind of operations we are talking about. We're talking about large operations because we are a large country. We're talking about large opportunities because we don't have enough entrepreneurs who are looking seriously into these opportunities. Unfortunately, when opportunities are looked, largely most people look into opportunities in the area of e-commerce or a bit in the area of motorcycle delivery companies largely. But if you just look into the startup ecosystem which is there, you find very, very few people who actually have any innovative business model worth saying. Most of the business model that you see are copied business model from some country or other country. We don't actually have much innovation at all in entrepreneurship in India. Even when they are copied, they are poorly implemented. And right now, if you look into, I don't know how many of you are from Bangalore, but if you hear the news from Bangalore, Gurgaon, and Mumbai, the main startup hubs, and Hyderabad and Chennai, the main startup hubs, these are becoming graveyard of startups because the business plan of these startups were largely very weak, and they couldn't sustain the COVID impact that came to them immediately. So large number of startups have closed down. We are yet to get those data out. Those data are yet not there. But in this gloomy definition, which I was telling, and since my interest and my focus is agriculture, I would like to talk to you for another 5-10 minutes on agriculture alone, because I believe agriculture, see, for a simple reason, nobody is of the 133 billion people in this country. I am hoping that nobody is going to stop eating food from tomorrow, right? So it means that agriculture is going to be in business for perpetuity. It is one of the most sustainable business because everybody is going to eat all the time. That means that people can look at opportunities in agriculture sector. Agriculture, let me just expand it to agriculture and food sector. Now, again, this is one of the areas of our economy which has remained, which has very few business interventions which are there in agriculture and allied services sector in the country. Most of you students are from are in Northeast right now. I don't know how many of you are aware that 83% of Northeastern economy, all the seven sisters plus Sikkim, economy is agriculture. 83% of Northeast economy is agriculture. Imagine the size of the economy. But if you look into enterprises around, you go out in Guwahati or Shillong or Dimapur or Agartala, do you see any large agri enterprises that you can see, agri food enterprises as you see? You don't see it. The employment given by the agriculture sector directly is the production employment, while value addition employment in agriculture sector is very little. Why it is little? That is the question. If you look into just this Northeast only, the migration, and I'm just trying to quote from pre-corona times, is that most of the youth in Northeast migrate. Why do they migrate? Because they don't have opportunities locally. They come to Bangalore, they come to National Capital Region, and they try to find various kinds of employment there. I believe they would prefer to be back, and like post-corona, they are all back in their cities, in districts, but they don't have jobs. So I believe, our economy that is 83% can create opportunities in the area of entrepreneurship, which is value addition. You have so many resources in the Northeastern states, agriculture resources in the Northeastern states, but very few value addition is done. The the east, look east policy of the government of India towards Southeast Asia, those borders are still getting opened, and there's an opportunity which can be created to export material from Northeast. Why the material should come from Northeast to Delhi and then go to Bombay or Chennai or Calcutta and then go to Southeast Asia. It can directly go with the border of Burma, Tripura, and Meghalaya and Assam to various Southeast Asian countries. So there's a lot of opportunities that are there, in my opinion, but we haven't created avenues to exploit that opportunity. In fact, one of the areas that ekgaon is working on is that we have set up an agri-technology incubator, the first of its kind in Northeast, in Jorhat, Assam. It is based in Assam Agriculture University. It's called the NEAT Hub, Northeastern Agri-Technology Incubator Hub. This is a unique incubator in a sense that it is wanting to promote entrepreneurship in B2B, business to business entrepreneurship. So we want to create entrepreneurs whom we will seed fund up to a tune of about 10 lakh rupees to help them set up their agro enterprises in Northeast and build their economies. We'll also help them incubate. We'll also help them provide with various certification and other measures that are required. So this is something that we are doing because we are very cognizant of the fact that the opportunity definitely is there. So this is an activity we're doing. We believe there's a huge opportunity across the country in agriculture and allied sector. In fact, in last 4 or 5 years, finally, the Indian agriculture sector has started seeing some upswing in terms of foreign direct investment. I'm using foreign direct investment as a kind of a benchmark, not really. I don't actually believe that that is the only thing which can drive innovation or investment in agriculture. But the reality is that investment in agriculture by the government itself, government or government institution, is very small. You might hear in newspapers that it is a very large investment that the government makes, but that's largely false because those are big numbers, but below those numbers are very small numbers. Big announcement, low actual investment in it. In fact, agriculture investment has been on the decline since last 20 years, not 1 year, 20 years. Agriculture investment, long-term agriculture investment is on a decline. It's only since 2015 or 16 the agriculture investment is slowly increasing, very, very gradually increasing. Just to give you two numbers, between 2002 and 2014, the agriculture investment, foreign direct investment, because Indian investment numbers are not available, was $2 billion. So in 12 years, $2 billion was the total investment in terms of foreign direct investment in the agriculture sector of the country, which is one of the largest sector in the world. Agriculture sector of India is very large. We are producer of almost 32 commodities, which are as the largest producer in the world, first largest or second largest producer in the world. But we barely actually we don't have a large actually say in the international food market because we don't have large scale investment. The only two big $1 billion company in agriculture in India are Amul, the Amul GCCMF, and the second is Jain Foods. These are the only $2 billion company. Why more companies are not there in the food is a mystery, because that's very strange, because you have very large agriculture and food sector in the country, but you don't have large enterprises. Whereas large, even small country like Netherlands is, 400 times bigger than India. Just to give you a number in terms of for you to understand what we are talking about, the third largest bank in the world is the Agriculture Bank of China. And it is also the largest bank of agriculture in China and in the world. Whereas India doesn't even have one single bank which invests in agriculture. We have very small bank which put some small money under priority sector lending in agriculture, but that is minuscule investment compared to the large sector that is there. But like I said earlier, private sector investment has almost doubled since 2015. Now, since last report, around $4 billion investment has come between 2015 to 2017 in agriculture and allied services sector. So there is some positive outlook that we are seeing that is happening here. And I call upon you to see that there is a good opportunity in agriculture. And ekgaon, what does ekgaon do in brief 2 minutes? What does ekgaon do? Ekgaon works with about 25,000 farmers across Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and we have promoted for the farmers 5 farmer producer companies. These are owned by the farmers, and they are the shareholders. ekgaon is not the shareholder. We work with these companies to procure about 230 different commodities, food commodities. ekgaon is also a brand that sells online as well as on physical stores. We have about 15 stores across the country which sell ekgaon product. These stores are not owned by us. Our products are on these stores. We sell online to about 600 cities across the country, to about 20,000 regular customers who buy from us online. And so this is largely what we do. Our model of working with farmers, so we are, like I said earlier, we are a for-profit company, but we have a very clear motto and simple that whatever work we will do with our farmers, we will ensure that the farmer get the right price. Farmer should never be cheated by the price that they get from us. And whatever profit ekgaon makes in the market, farmer gets 10% of the share post selling price as well. We call it a bonus. So we basically, what we believe is ekgaon is a benefit brand which shares profit with the farmers, so that farmer has that additional income. We believe farmers, that income belongs to the farmer, which is not being done right now. Amul is the only company which does that. They share profit with the farmers. We are doing the same thing. At the same time, ekgaon believes that we want to slowly enable farmer and the farming ecosystem to become more self-reliant. So these producer companies that we have formed slowly will be managing their own affairs. They have their own boards. All our boards are run by the farmers. We help them where we can. For example, we are the first company in the country which has started giving them crop loan. Otherwise, the crop loan is usually given by the government sector banks. We are the first private sector company which is giving them the loan through the microfinance channel, and completely a digital loan, no paperwork. Everything is on a mobile phone. There's an app through which we process the loan application, and within 24 hours, money goes to the bank account of the farmer. Totally a digital loan. Until now, after 3 crop season, we have 100% repayment from the farmer. This is a very important step for us to enable, like I said earlier when I was saying that our goal is to enable services. So we use a lot of technology. Essentially we are a software company. We develop all our software in-house. These technologies and software allow us to kind of manage the supply chain, implement traceability systems. We have implemented blockchain in our supply chain. Also, none of these actually give us any benefit when it comes to customer paying us additional anything excess. But these are the values that we have enshrined in our systems. So our supply chains are very strong, totally digital. So we work with a very small team because we use a lot of technology. So this is something about us, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if that is the plan by you. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
I mean, I think there is some issue
Yes.
with my camera. It's not working, but I hope I'm audible. So, okay,
No, you're.
okay, guys, you guys can ask any question. So maybe you can turn your microphone and then ask question if you have. I mean, it looks like none of the audience have any questions, so I'll go ahead and ask mine. Some of the questions that I have. So, sir, one argument that for-profit companies make nowadays is that the impact they create is much larger than the social enterprise. For suppose like company like Tata. they employ 1,000 people, and they are purely a for profit company. And when we compare it to small NGOs and the social entrepreneurs and social enterprise, they do not like employs these many people, and they would also do not generate that much of a revenue. So like, what do you have to say about that argument that the impact of a for profit is like 100 times larger than a social enterprise? Sir, sir, you are on mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you are going to compare an elephant with a say tortoise and ask both of them to run a race, then that's not fair essentially. So comparison should be on certain commonality of what you are doing. Let me give an example of a private sector enterprise and a public sector and a social enterprise. So like I said, Amul is a social enterprise. We agree with that, right? So Amul, during Corona times, Amul gave the 28 rupees, 32 rupees per kg of price to the milk, their milk producers. That is the price that Amul gave. In Maharashtra, the private sector dairy, that includes many top brands in that are in the market in Maharashtra, they were giving 17 to 18 rupees per kilogram. Same market, same producers, similar producers at least, but one private sector company is paying 18 rupees, whereas the cooperative owned by the producers is paying 32 rupees. Amul is still profitable, and this dairy will claim that no, we were not profitable, that is why we were paying less, right?
Yes.
So what is the issue here? If you look into both about business model, it is about intent, whether the intent is really an impact based intent. So for example, within last 4 months, from March to July, in 4 months, a GCCMF, which is parent organization of Amul, gave 4,500 crore rupees to the farmers for buying milk, right? The whole of government of India gave 31,500 crore rupees under PM Kisan, the whole of government of India. I'm just talking about comparing one company and with the whole of government of India. Imagine the comparison. I'm talking about the mega government of India and just one small company, right? I'm saying it's small because you know how many farmers it is working, around 30 lakh farmers it is working with, right? But to that 30 lakh farmers, it was able to give 4,500 crore rupees. That money helped the farmer survive during this crisis, right? So that comparison is there. Now, Amul's impact is massive. It's not just the impact of the money it is giving. Its impact is massive. There's a consistent income coming to the farmer, means that the farmer can invest that money into education, in their housing, in getting various services, getting health. So that impact, consistent impact, has made Amul farmers stick with Amul for 70 years, right? They could easily go and sell it to anybody else. Nestle tried. Danone, which is a French multinational which was in India, and it worked in India for around 15 years, and said that we can't compete with Amul. Because the kind of fair market Amul has created in India, no unfair company can come and break it. Because Amul has created that fair marketplace. Now, coming to your bigger question, which is a good question, that any big company will say, like I said earlier also, any big company will say that, yes, we have a large impact. You know, we make a large impact. Tata Group makes a large impact. Reliance Group make a large impact. Yes, they do. But that large impact at what cost? All these companies, every single company is getting various kinds of subsidies that they don't disclose in their balance sheets. They don't disclose it. They only disclose the revenue numbers. They don't disclose the tax subsidy that they get from the government. They don't disclose the land subsidies that they get from the government. If you just add the cost of that, which none of these subsidies are available to the farmers, right? None of these subsidies are available to the NGOs, right? If you just compare the two, you will find that the cost essentially let me give you an example of that. You remember the episode of Tata plants moving from Calcutta, wherever in West Bengal to Gujarat, Tata Nano plant,
Yes, sir.
right? 20,000 crore rupees of service tax waiver was given by government of Gujarat to Tata Group, besides the land free. That is not included in the balance sheet. If you include that, you are already in negative. So let's not even talk about comparing these things. There are many things which, because they are compared at a level which doesn't become public, there are many such things which are there which are not comparable. I strongly believe that India's social sector has done a much better work in this country for various things like health and education and sanitation. Because if you largely, anybody of you is from rural India, knows that government services actually don't reach rural India. So government services are not available in 70% of the country. Who is providing the service there? It is the social sector, the non-profit sector, which is providing service there. And it is slowly getting support of institutions like NABARD, which has funded this sector through the self-help group movement, the microfinance movement, self-help group financing. So slowly, it's a small amount of money that has been funded, but still that institution has come, and that is probably the first time a service has actually reached the rural India in terms of financial services. So we are at a very basic level of services. I think there's a lot we have to talk about here.
Okay. Sir, one question that comes up is that the small startup, how can they compete with larger companies? Because even in this time of COVID, larger companies are providing heavy discounts on their agricultural products, but small startup cannot compete with them right now. So what should be the strategy?
See, depends upon how you approach the issue. I'm also seeing in the chat box there is a question on startups like Big Basket and Grofers and their impact on Indian agriculture. So I will combine your question on this. So there are many startups, there are many established players who offer a lot of discounts. You might go to the website and say, potato is available at 5 rupees a kilogram, right? Whereas your buying cost itself is 7 rupees as a startup. So of course you cannot sell at 5 rupees, right? So the problem of this whole discount marketing, in fact, the whole e-commerce suffers from discount phenomena in India. I don't know whether you're aware that none of the e-commerce company in India is profitable. None, which means zero. No, not a single one is profitable. Even now, after 10 to 15 years, none of them is profitable. So discounting is one part of the issue. So everybody doesn't go for discount. People also go for quality. Now, and service quality and the product quality. These are two other factors which are important. And the product basket is also important. So for example, ekgaon, we have never given this discount ever. We are very clear. So we sell at Amazon also, Flipkart also, Jio Mart also, that Reliance Jio's new company. We sell at all the places, and all of them ask us, give us discount, offer discount to the customer. And we said we don't have a policy of giving discount, because the moment we give discount, we'll be cutting the money from farmers. So as a policy, we are very clear that we will not cut a single paisa from our farmers. So, which essentially means that if we are not going to cut from the farmers, that we can't offer discount, because we don't have money ourselves, right? From where we can give a discount. So our focus is that we will give you quality product, and we will not offer discount, and we will ensure that quality product that you get serves you best. I think another question is the impact of Big Basket and Grofers. Agriculture, they are still a marginal players. In fact, all the companies that are there right now working in the agriculture space, mostly in horticulture and this space, are at a marginal level. They are a marginal player. They're not a big player at all. But they look big player because they are more visible. So if you look into No, largely their impact is as of now negligible. Of course, their advertising will claim multiple types of impact. Please avoid that. But they're a very marginal player. So I don't consider their impact as large. But there are companies like Jain Irrigation, Jain Foods, Rajdhani Basin, Rajdhani Group. I don't know whether many of you are aware. Rajdhani is a major brand of besan and many other dals and other products. They are major groups. They work with farmers much more directly and have a larger footprint. So start.
So we lost your audio. It's on mute, I guess. Yeah.
Somebody is doing that probably.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, even we are using a new system. That's why.
Okay. So there's also one question on farm sector bills. My comment, I will give it at the time of closure. If any other question is there, then I'll summarize with the farm sector bill inputs.
Yeah. Well, like one question I have is uh, the infrastructure is not like present right now for the social enterprises. So how you tackle that problem? Because you guys, like most of the social enterprise do not have access to large financial services. So how you personally tackle that, and like what is your suggestion that small entrepreneurs can do?
Well, I think what is available right now is much more when I started. So when I started, it was zero, absolutely nothing. So you have much more. There are several social enterprise incubators across the country. There are several social entrepreneurship training schools across the country. Social entrepreneurship is a course curriculum in multiple universities across the country, from Azim Premji to Ambedkar University, and many other universities have social entrepreneurship as a course. And many incubators are there. I'm part of one incubator here, the Ambedkar University incubator, which is a social enterprise incubator in Delhi. So there are much bigger ecosystem which is available. Of course, the size of the country we are talking about, like I said, is very, very tiny. I completely agree with you. But like I said, if more people come and join the space, the support system ecosystem will evolve. When I started, there was nothing. Right now, there is much. We all are trying our level best to push in that direction. But things in India happen very, very slowly, always. So we do hope that people are interested, people are looking at it. At government level also, there's some serious thinking about social entrepreneurship sector. There's a talk about setting up a social enterprise exchange. And hopefully, if that exchange comes, then a small enterprise can, pledge their shares and mobilize market capital. So we are, like I said, we are still at a much, I would say it's a very small stage still, but there is some support available.
Yeah. Uh, so we do not have any more questions.
So my
Maybe.
quick summarization on the farm sector bill. So farm sector bill on the offset talks about giving freedom to the farmers. That's what it says. We are giving freedom for the farmers from the bad businessmen, the middlemen, the trader who is stealing from the farmers, and these kind of words are being used by our policymakers. The funny part is that it is the farmer who is protesting the bill, which is supposed to help them.
Uh, uh, Looks like there is some issue. Guys, there is some issue with our speakers network, so we have to like end this webinar right now. So I'm really sorry we sir couldn't able to finish the conclusion, but I hope you guys must have learned a lot from this seminar, and we are also going to upload it on YouTube. So maybe you guys can watch later and share with your friends if you'd like this event. Thank you for joining us.